Anyway, let me introduce myself. My name is Nyawira Mburia. I am currently in Greenstead School. I am going to attend in September. And, well, I'm just going to talk about myself a bit more then. So, one thing, if you were here last year, then you'd know I have this ridiculous love for the environment, because to me the environment is this beautiful thing that we found and it doesn't deserve to be destroyed. And because of this, I decided to do my project on something I like to call Recycle for Reward. I hope you all enjoy it. So, how did I choose this project? Well, I think one thing we've all learned today is that plastics is one of the biggest waste problem we have in Kenya. From Amy's presentation to Betty's presentation, we've all found out that plastics is a huge nuisance and needs to be dealt with. And so one of the most commonly used phrases when it comes to waste and plastic is reuse, reduce, and recycle, right? Yeah, I'm sure you all know it. But I want to talk about the word recycle. Do we really know what the word recycle means? For example, Alvin messed up his mother's dustbin and took it to be recycled. But do we really know what's happening to that dustbin? So this led me to something else, being that plastic you put in the recycling bin or that plastic you take to be recycled, what happens to it? What does it go through? Where exactly does it go? And how does it become recycled? Before I go there, I want to just remind us some of the challenges of plastic waste. So we have, number one, we have sewage clogging, where this plastic goes and clogs the sewage pipes. We have consumed by animals. To me, this is one of the worst because we're the ones who polluted the earth with plastics. This is our fault, and these animals had nothing to do with it. So why they're forced to eat it or why they're going through this trouble is just unfair. And the last one being sewage spillage, where there's so much plastic in the sewer that it actually spills out. So I decided to visit a plant. It's in Lumuro. It's a recycling plant, and it's called EcoWise. So what they do, they collect plastics from different collecting sites. They wash it, they dry it, and they pelletize it. So EcoWise used to specialize mostly in this plastic we know as film plastic. That's the plastic bags, the ones that we see almost every day in shops. And what they would do, they'd recycle that plastic so that other factories don't have to manufacture more. We have enough. We have too much, actually. So what they do, they'd recycle it. And they taught me as the different kinds of plastic. And I decided I could show you. So I'm going to start with one of the most commonly used plastics today, PET. Also known as soda bottle, the water bottle, the cooking oil bottle, or used in packing trays. For those who have not seen it, you can find it in the closest store or in a river or tree, unfortunately. Next we have the PVC plastic, which is used for water pipes, sewage pipes, or furniture. So this is PVC plastic. You can see that there's the difference, right? This one is stronger and it's more durable than that one. Next, I want to show you the LDPE plastic. It's trays. It can also be used as playground fixtures, so that's your slide, and drink holders, so cup holders, even though, yeah. And last but not least, we have the PP plastic, which is very strong. The PP plastic can be used for a number of things. We can use it for bottle caps, surgery tools, or food containers. This is the also hated film plastic. Once again, if you have not seen it, go check the nearest river, tree, or the ocean. Now, how are these plastics recycled? So in a country like Uganda, what they do, they use the plastics, they crush it up, they put it in bricks or blocks, and they use it as pavement blocks. In Kenya, what they like to do, they turn it into these black sheets, and they use it to like line ponds or for construction that you'll see if you go see a building. Other uses for recycled plastic is for furniture, the soles of your rubber shoe, and farming use, like the handle of a broom or rake. What else I found out is that if you give a kilo of plastic waste to a recycling bank, such as Premier Industries, Halal Industries, or EcoWise, that's 32 shillings you have earned. So in a month, if you're able to collect a ton, you have earned yourself 32,000 shillings, which is actually a lot of money. So let's pretend that you're giving a ton every single month for the year. Think of how much money you could have earned just by giving in plastics and helping the environment. Now, according to UNEP, in 2010, Kenya generated 17,350 tons of plastic per day. Now, let's remember, this is 2010. We are currently in 2017. You have no idea how much we have added. It could be 18,000, 20,000 by now. And that's not something to be proud of. Next thing, 100 million plastic bags are handed out in supermarkets in Kenya alone, which should not be a surprise that plastic bags are the #1 main issue for its waste in urban areas and in squatter settlements. They also contribute to the 8 million tons of plastic that leak into the ocean every single year. So what Lem was talking about is actually real, it's happening. And if we continue at this rate, by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. I applaud Kenya for this because they made the ban on plastic bags. And it's actually the 11th country to ban plastic bags and the 3rd in Africa, which is a good thing that the government has decided to do something about it because it's obviously a very huge menace. But let's remember that this film plastic isn't the only type of plastic that we have. It's not the only plastic that's a menace. For example, what happens to this plastic? And I'll show you. That is what happens to the PET plastic. And let's remember the government hasn't done anything about it yet. I decided to calculate where it's from. That's Mudongari River. So that's not even a slum. That's in a developed area with educated people that know where this should be going. And yet, it's like that. It's sad. It's just unacceptable. So I decided to do more research on PET plastic because it's not been touched on. And I found out that 6 million plastic bottles end up in landfills every single day. And in Kenya, I think 157,680,000 plastic bottles, PET bottles are made every day. And fun fact about these PET bottles, they do not biodegrade, they photodegrade. Meaning they become into these small fragments, and these small fragments end up in our soil and waterways, and they produce these toxins that contaminate the soil and what's really polluting our waterways. So for those who are wondering, how comes a long time ago you could drink water from the tap and all that, and nothing happened, and now if you do it you're going to get sick? There's your answer. So I decided to go to Nyawira, where EcoWise had donated a machine to be recycling not film plastic because of the ban, but other types of plastic such as PVC and PP. And what was surprising was while I was there, neighboring one of the collecting sites was a nursery school. And I found it very surprising that around such an area of such trash and pollution, you'd find a learning institute for children, young children, between the ages 3 to 5. So I decided to go into the school and actually learned a few things about the school. That #1, they do not have any running water. The government turned off their water. #2, surrounding them was some alcohol dens and drug dealers, a lot of drug dealers. And #3, they did not have a proper waste disposal system. I'm not talking about waste and pollution, I'm talking about from your body, that waste. And here is a picture of their toilet. As you can see here, it's been shut down because it was claimed toxic. It's hazardous to the environment and shouldn't be in a nursery school. So I decided But I wanted to learn more, like what are the people doing about the fact that their children, what are the principal doing that the children are being surrounded by such harsh environment and that their only toilet has been shut down because it's toxic. And where the children had to end up going was behind a wall somewhere, which was so covered that, considering that there are a lot of dangerous people around, they could be abused, harmed, beaten, who knows what. So I decided I needed to find the trustees of the land, the principal, and talk to them. So fortunately enough for me, I was able to find her and interview her, and she told me a number of interesting facts about the school. Fact number one, the children are suffering from such extreme levels of poverty. The parents don't send their kids to school to learn. They send their kids to school to eat, because that's their only meal they're ever going to have. So on Friday, the children are crying because what does this mean? It's a weekend, so Saturday and Sunday, no food. She also told me about how there are a lot of people here in Kangwai who wanted to take the land for themselves, just for the sake of having that land, and they thought this is a nursery school, what are they really going to do? But the people around Kangwai decided to stand and defend it. This land wasn't just for the children, it was for them. It was a place of peace, a place of education, a place where it's a place of hope. And they decided they were going to stand against this. And from that interview, I learned three main things. Number one, the land was a community trust. Number two, they had a huge sanitation issue. Number three, and for me, what is the most important, these children, what was really important for them was to have a proper learning environment. Because remember, all these children are leaders for tomorrow, and they deserve to grow up in an environment that's right for them. They do not deserve to be surrounded by alcoholists, drug dealers, and trash. It's not fair for them. And I was fortunate enough to spend some time with the children of the school. They're actually really loving kids. They're fun. They have a lot of problems, but you can't see it. They're playful, they're joyful, they have a lot of energy and questions, but yeah, they were really fun to work with. So as I was doing more research, I found out that there are few African countries where they use plastic bottles to make buildings. And this is a good thing because in Kenya, what they do with the plastic bottles when you take them to a recycling place, they don't recycle them. They crush them up and ship them to China, so China can make new things. They don't really recycle them here in Kenya. So I thought, why not kill two birds with one stone and do something about the plastic bottles? Because not all of them is going to be taken to China. And Kenya needs to start acting on this. Instead of giving your problems to another country, we need to work on them. So I decided to take the plastic bottles around, the PET plastic that we had seen in the river earlier, and any other PET bottle that I could find, collect it and use it to make something new, something better. And so I began working. My first job, I was able and fortunate enough to partner with the Kawangware Welfare Association, who were willing to spread awareness to parents and the people around that so much more could be done with this plastic instead of sitting there not benefiting anyone. I had to write a letter to the chief of Kawangware asking him for permission for me to do this because I needed his permission, because if I didn't have it, then it would be called illegal building apparently. And number two, I had to start fundraising for the cement and sand going into these bottles. So I went around, my family, my friends, anyone who was willing to listen to what I had to say about the plastics. And thankful enough, there were a lot of people who actually they had a lot of positivity towards my idea, and they're actually very happy to hear it. And I was able to raise 65,000 shillings for the sand and the cement. And this is how it works. I didn't want it to be something like where you take the plastic and you put them in a brick and you build a lot of bricks. I want something where people can see that it actually was plastic, that I'm not lying. I took plastic bottles and I just put sand in them and I built a structure and I built something out of it. In fact, I'm building a new toilet for them, a proper. And so this is what the ending product should look like. Wow. I can give you some benefits of this one actually. Number one, it's soundproof, apparently. Number two, it's waterproof. And number three, which was being most surprising, it's bulletproof. Yeah, I found it a bit of a surprise too. But when you shoot the bullet, it has to go through the plastic. Yeah. But unfortunately for me, August is the month of election, and Kawangware isn't very security safe. I'm able to get marched into the construction. But Kawangware Welfare Association have promised me they will continue with my work even when I'm gone. And they have promised me they will spread awareness and make sure something else is done without plastic even when I'm gone.
Well done.
But I'm not yet finished. Now I am challenging all of you. Mburia, I'm calling all of you out to become ambassadors of the environment. This is our planet, this is our home, there is no Superman coming to save it. It is our job. We are the defenders of the planet, and we have allowed plastics to dominate this earth for far too long. You've seen that in our animals, it's in our food, it's around our environment. There's some plastic in us, and that is not fair. This is our planet, and I am asking you, go collect plastic. You've seen you can raise money and use it to help so many people. There's so much you can do. Don't just leave it there to do nothing. Become an ambassador in the environment.